show, we're going back to 1984. There's a new #1 show on television, and it's called Dynasty. The wildly popular Dallas continues with its 4th season. Bill Cosby returns to television with The Cosby Show. Entering its 3rd season, Family Ties continues to be a rating success for NBC.
If you have a problem, if no one else can help.
In its 3rd season, the A-Team continues to be a star vehicle for Mr. T. Gerald McRaney and Jameson Parker begin their 4th season together as the Simon brothers on Simon and Simon. Angela Lansbury sits at the typewriter as Jessica Fletcher for the first time on Murder, She Wrote. The nighttime soaps continue to dominate as Knots Landing enters its 6th season. Meanwhile, Falcon Crest begins its 4th season on CBS. Hotel checks in for a 2nd season.
Sometimes you wanna go.
And Cheers to Cheers on the start of its 3rd season.
And they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see.
That's just some of what you can expect as we hop in the time machine back to 1984 to preview the fall television schedule. What do we remember? What shows would become hits, and which would be quickly forgotten? And, most importantly, what would we have watched back then?
Welcome to the show. It's 1984, baby.
Yes.
And bam, it is 19. Well, actually, you know what? I just realized now that it's actually more 1985.
With the Ghostbusters, yeah.
Well, 84, this is already out. This is dominating the summer of 1984. I mean, seriously, oh my gosh, if you could see the track of this thing, it's #1, then it's knocked out by some movie, then it's #1 again, then it's knocked out by like some Clint Eastwood movie for 4 weeks, then it's #1 again. Like, it is just the movie that will not stop. And then Back to the Future, I want to say is like the summer of 85, right? So I don't even
very right.
Technically, I think we're breaking kayfabe here a little. But I thought this was a cute little background. I can do a little computer stuffs over there. Anyway, welcome to the show. Welcome, Capricia.
Hey.
You were introduced last time, one of the unboxings by name. Welcome to the show. So happy to have you here.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so what's going on here? The husband said unboxings were unsustainable, and he was absolutely right. So I do have a couple of things to unbox, but that'll hold for another day because today, as you can see, we're going back in time. In an effort, this is going to be so cut up, in an effort to mix it up on this channel, my channel, Christian Calloway channel, and provide some original content that isn't just reposted old wrestling shows. We're borrowing the time machine from Wrestle 40. I guess today's sponsor, is it really a sponsor if it's just me, myself? I don't know. Anyway, there'll probably be an overlay. I don't know how this is going to be cut up or what this is going to look like. This is a grand experiment. But anyway, we're going back to 1984 today to look at TV Guide's fall TV preview.
Fun, all the shows A to Z and the facts. What's behind what you see? TV Guide, the whole world of TV. That's entertainment. The stars underneath all the glow and the news from the people who know. TV Guide, it's a fabulous show. So buy a TV Guide and read TV Guide. That's entertainment.
I have a beautiful. I would not call this mint. This is far from mint, actually.
I'm like just so impressed that you actually got that. I'm so impressed. That is so cool.
Everything's available on eBay.
That's true. Very
and
true.
I had initially, I kind of wanted to start like 1990 through probably 2000 is when I probably started to lose interest in television in terms of having to watch everything, every pilot, every show, whatever. So I thought 1984 was a good year to start with. It's a beautiful cover too. This little rainbow sun coming up. I mean, now we're doing it. It feels like an unboxing. The problem with this thing, and I will kind of unbox it, I'll unwrap it. The biggest issue with this thing is it is 40 years old and the pages are so fragile. I can't fully like open it up without worrying about breaking it. You can see there. I don't know if this was a smoke-free home or not.
Probably not. But it's because it was made out of that like phone book paper, right? Which kids these days have no idea what I'm talking about.
No.
But I'm just trying to figure out who was like, let me keep this TV Guide from 1984, and somebody's gonna want that someday.
Oh, and we have been to full on like antique shops or collectible shops, they have comic books, records, all, the mix of the menagerie of things that people collect. And yeah, no, one of them had like rows and rows and rows of TV Guides. I wanted to have it in hand so I could look at it, and then the pages were so fragile, and now I'm just afraid to touch it and open it. Luckily, we have some some people have scanned it, and we have that as an example. I did want to talk for a quick second about the opening that we saw. That opening with that AI voiceover, which I know I feel a little weird using, but it's actually really good.
It is really good. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't understand why people hate the AI voice so much. I don't have a problem with it, but I know
it's literally, in theory, it's taking jobs. Like, I mean, that is a job I should have done myself, or if this were a real big podcast or something, it would have been hired out to someone to do. Likely, I hope still, as I was doing it, I felt a little sketch, not for nothing. I started it. It started as me trying to do to get a Casey Kasem AI voice going. And I couldn't, it sounded what was the celebrity AI tool that I was trying to use was terrible. And there was this guy named Bill, and I'm like, oh, Bill sounds fine. So Bill was talking about the top, 12 shows that were actually at the end of, and let me see if I can pull this up and share with the class. I made the mistake of in this kind of idea of kayfabe that, we're watching this and it is 1984. And this is the preview before September. I shouldn't have been telling you what was the number 1 show at the end of the season. So Dynasty becomes the number 1 show in America this year.
Was it the Who Shot JR? Was that season?
Who Shot JR was like 90. Oh, sorry, 90.
Was it a night? I was like, was it the 90s?
Yeah, no. It was 81.
Okay.
So JR has already been shot. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know where I'm pointing. I don't know what can be seen. Anyway, you can see the Wikipedia page, right? Everybody can see the.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the end of 1983, and I believe that 25.7 million this season ended. We're going into 1984. It ended with it might be this season. You know what? Let's just find out. Hold on, I'm curious now. Yeah, Who Shot JR was the 1980.
Oh wow. Okay.
Second highest rated primetime telecast ever. Okay, so it would have been at the end of season 8, season 9 starts next year. So it would have been this season, right? If I'm doing my math correctly. Anyway, one of the seasons of Dallas. I'm not a big fan of the show. We're gonna have another Who Shot JR thing. Bang, bang, bang in the back of the chair. We get a flip around, and it turns out it wasn't JR. It was Bobby Ewing, and yes, that's the end of this season because the end of 84, I believe, is Bobby getting hit by a car, and Bobby dies in the hospital. Spoiler alert, at the end of this season, and then we open up with season 9 in 1985. So next year, September of 85, we open up with the famous opening up the door, and Bobby's in the shower, and the whole season was a dream, and Bobby wasn't dead all along.
Oh, that was the dream season.
Yes.
Terrible idea. Terrible.
If I've got all my Dallas ducks in a row, that is what we're seeing. So anyway,
okay.
So as you can see, Dynasty bumps up from number 3 to number 1 by the end of this year. Dallas drops down to number 2. So I largely used this as a way to kind of introduce, and we were, kind of to get an idea of where we're landing by the end of this season. And as you can see, Dynasty is number 1, followed by Dallas at number 2. We got The Cosby Show in at number 3. And a strong debut, as we're going to find out. The Cosby Show, of course, premiering in 1984. Anyway, 60 Minutes continues in the top 10, which I did not include 60 Minutes in that because it is such a stalwart.
For some reason, I know this is silly, but I don't think of it as a TV show. Like, I know it's a TV show, but it's like not
it's
really
such a news
TV
magazine.
Show.
Yeah,
Right. So you just don't think of it. I don't think of it as like I'm going to go watch a TV show. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go get the news. I'm going to get a deeper dive in the news.
And I think it's definitely one of those things where, I don't expect a news show to be on a news magazine or I wouldn't expect to see Dateline on this list, even though I'm sure Dateline probably did do well enough at one point. I feel like everybody was watching Dateline at one point.
In the 90s, definitely.
Like when That Catch a Predator was super hot in like the 2000s or whatever. Like
totally was me watching it.
Like if that wasn't in the top 10, if that didn't get in the top 10, I'd be shocked. Anyway, 60 Minutes. That's why I didn't include it. We have Family Ties. We have the A-Team, Simon and Simon, which I never watched.
I don't even remember hearing about it. I'm like, what the hell was Simon and Simon about? How many seasons did that have?
You know what? Not for nothing. It was on for 6 years, 8 years.
Are you kidding me?
8 years.
I have never heard of the show ever before.
Yeah, it's like two brothers, detectives. I don't know. We can dig a little deeper if we want. But also speaking to the power of the debut and her first year making the top 10, Murder, She Wrote. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Knots Landing coming in at number 9. Falcon Crest at number 10. I didn't include Crazy Like a Fox, and I don't remember why. I think because
they say, like father, like son.
Oh, I don't believe it.
But that's not necessarily true when it comes to Harry Fox.
Oui.
And his son, Harrison K. Fox.
Nice touch, Dad.
Harry's a gruff old private eye with a nose for trouble.
What is that smell? Something's not right.
While Harrison's a preppy lawyer who reluctantly gets dragged into his dad's off-the-wall cases.
Why me?
They're far from alike, but you'll like their style in Crazy Like a Fox.
I don't remember why I threw shade at this show, honestly. I just
all the shade.
I don't know why. And you know what? I couldn't tell you anything about Hotel. Cheers rounded us out. So with that in mind, let us go to, I want to actually go to my little presentation here because I worked hard on this, damn it. We are talking, of course, about the fall 1984, 1985 TV schedule here. Is it super weird that I'm looking this way? Like I'm not looking at the camera?
It's not weird, but it feels like you should be looking at the camera or turned at least.
Damn high.
Hi.
I know it's so terrible. Although if you could see the keyboard here, then you could it would make sense that there's like
I can see the keyboard now. I don't know what you did, but I can see the keyboard now in the background.
I think it might be just the way it presents the boxes when it's presenting what it. I don't know. I don't know enough about Google Meet. Anyway, it's 1984. I just got my first Macintosh. What do I know about Google Meet?
Right.
What are we doing? What do I know about PowerPoint?
And you have a computer in your bedroom? Wow. Wow.
This is
rich.
This is privilege. This is the definition of anyway, we're not, it's 1984. We don't know what that is. We don't talk about that or ask these questions. So let me hope this works. So a little preview, you see a little Murder, She Wrote there, a little Three's a Crowd. We're going to talk about that. Unfortunately, we're going to talk about Highway to Heaven, probably my least favorite show on this whole little carousel. Miami Vice, you see V, the series there. Very important distinction. Sorry, I'll punctuate points here. V, the series, a very important distinction that I learned that we will talk about more for 1984. And then Who's the Boss, which also premiered in 1984. Did not make it into the top 10, though, in its first season. So yeah, let's take a look at what we have up. There's the cover that I showed you. I really do love it. It is such a beautiful.
It's a pretty cover.
I miss TV guides, just period. There's some incredible artwork that goes unsung. That like some dude drew this. Like this is like some dude's weekend day. I don't know how long this would have taken. I'm assuming a very professional artist is going to bang this out, but then again, wasn't banging it out with like an iPad. So, I don't know. It's just so impressive. Anyway, and this is modern art. This is the full look. I wish I could make this bigger. I don't think I can. Oh, yes, I can. Oh, 1984 is amazing, man. The technology is so cool.
Wow.
But anyway, this is kind of the rundown we're going to see. I really wish I had spent some more time and dug a little deeper into what local programming looked like. And not for nothing, we do have the TV guide. And kind of one of the ways I was trying to discover, like, I have another TV guide that has Macho Man on the cover, of course. And that is specifically labeled Brooklyn Edition. There wasn't like, and you see that.
So is there like a different one for Brooklyn and like for the Bronx,
yeah,
like all the different boroughs? That'd be interesting
for the different markets. I would assume that, there were probably, I mean, again, I don't know, I'm pulling this out of my tuchus. But I would assume like there was a Phoenix production that would do Phoenix, LA would have their own, I know I've seen other editions labeled specifically like Cincinnati, and I tried to look through here and I couldn't find anything. But I'm significantly, and here's the problem. We're talking about syndication, hardcore at this point.
Right.
So these are local syndicated ABC, CBS, NBC. They're likely not showing Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune because those are just going into nighttime syndication right now. And you know what? I mean, depending on where you're at and how hot. I mean, listen, this is probably a stretch, but I just want to illustrate how hyper local television was at this point. If local wrestling was the number one show in your market and it was kicking butt and you put it at 7 o'clock and it kept you're keeping it at 7 o'clock on ABC. Like that's just what, and not for nothing, that 7 o'clock spot on ABC also could have been bowling, which was also oddly hot at the time.
Hey, bowling's fun.
Also, if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll do the little dingy thing somewhere on the screen. I'm not even going to try to point at the screen right now. So I just wanted to look at what 7 p.m. on a Tuesday looked like. Okay, so this is a great example. I don't know what network this is. It's channel 2 and it's channel 5, wherever the hell we are at. God, I wish I could get a better sense of where we are, because that would, oh, I just found it. Oh,
What is it?
okay. It's to speaking about the different markets and everything, Rochester.
Oh,
So this is Rochester, New York, on September 11th.
oh,
Yeah, that was kind of creepy.
Hmm.
It means nothing in 1984.
Right. We don't know anything about that day.
No one in 1984 looks at the clock and sees 9/11 and goes, oh. Rochester, New York, September 11th, 1984. Channels 2 and 5 will be showing Entertainment Tonight.
Coming up, all the glitter, glamour, and suspense of television's big night. E.T. pulls it all together for your most complete wrap-up of the 1984 Emmy Awards. Then, a standout week continues with Steve Martin. You'll meet Cheers star Shelley Long and sneak a peek at her new movie with Brian O'Neill and Drew Barrymore.
We'll also bring you a night-by-night guide to Primetime's new season lineup.
Plus, Latin pop sensation Menudo, all this week on Entertainment Tonight.
7:30 tomorrow night on WSAV.
Channel 3 will be showing The Jeffersons. Likely a repeat. That show is definitely in syndication by then. Rituals is on Channel 4. That's a serial. I have no idea what that is.
For Noelle, Brady Chapin is the man who can give her everything, and she'll do anything to get him.
Why don't we go back to your stables and we can make love all night long?
For Dakota, stardom is supposed to give her everything, but how far will she go to get it?
Dakota, we're not doing smut. This is a mood scene.
I'll feel naked.
Noelle and Dakota going for what they want on Rituals.
10:30 weekdays.
I do kind of love that I can interrupt myself at any moment and just
Right. I'm over here like rituals.
and I don't know, it's labeled a serial. Tom Gallagher, played by Kevin Blair, returns to Wingfield with a beautiful companion. Taylor strikes a bargain with her daughter Julia.
So like a soap opera.
I think it's a soap. Yeah, no, that
Oh.
is what a serial means, huh? I forget that's what they call the soaps, serials. It's been so long since I've looked at a TV guide. This is so weird. Sorry, and I'm channels. Speaking to shows in syndication and also being in the 7 o'clock time slot. You're just starting to see it. 7 o'clock on channels 7, 9, and 10. Also, my eyes are getting bad, so I'm having to hold the TV guide back further. I would not have had to have done this. Well, I was 2 years old, so I wasn't reading the TV guide. But anyway, on channels 7, 9, and 10 at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, we have Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune.
Look at this studio, filled with glamorous prizes, fabulous and exciting merchandise, including a champion performer, this $12,000 ski boat, or this exquisitely designed diamond and emerald ring, and vacation every weekend in this $6,000 camper trailer. Over $82,000 just waiting to be won on Wheel of Fortune. And now, here's your host, Pat Sajak.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks, everybody, for that nice welcome, and nice to have you with us on Wheel of Fortune. And now, help me say hello to our hostess. Here's Vanna White. Savannah! Hey! We now have three nice folks we'd like you to meet. You are...
Channel 8 is MASH. Channel 11N is INN News. I have no idea.
I call you killer, cause you slay me.
And I'm calling Bellevue because you're nuts.
The Honeymooners tonight at 11:30.
Tonight on the Independent News at 10, the latest on the heavy rains that could bring serious flooding to our area. Our inside story looks at who profits when you say, I do. And we'll see the president pumping iron.
Good evening. I'm Pat Harper.
And I'm Steve Bosch. The heavy rain that's been pounding the metropolitan area since yesterday has begun to cause some flooding, and the worst may be yet to come.
A Little House on the Prairie. We've got a nightly business report. McNeil Lehrer is on Channel 24. There's a comedy called Robin's Nest. And then, not for nothing, we have a couple cable channels here to choose from as well at 7 p.m. We could watch Here Come the Brides. CBN, which I believe is the Christian Broadcasting Network at this point, is showing Here Come the Brides. CNN is Moneyline.
I'm just cracking up at Here Come the Brides. Nowadays, we would think that was a couple, and I bet you that is not what it was.
The bluest sky you've ever seen in Seattle, and the hills the greenest green in Seattle, like a beautiful child growing up, free and wild, full of hopes and full of fears, full of laughter, full of tears, full of dreams, like the years in Seattle. When you find your own true love, you will know it. By his smile, by the look in his eyes. Set up pine trees in the air, boys don't stand around and stare. Look out, everyone, here come the bride.
Here, this is going to be like a 3-hour with all the interjections. Anyway, Moneyline on CNN, Sports Center on ESPN. Lifetime is showing Working Mother, a magazine. Nickelodeon, you can't do that on television.
Ooh.
SPN, I have no idea what SPN is. Just SPN. It says Music Channel.
Give your lifestyle a lift on SPN. Travel, music, how-to shows, and movies. We're what your lifestyle needs. We're SPN.
It's showing videos. USA is showing something called Radio 1990. Is that correct?
Tune into Radio 1990 all week and every week. Mondays, rock and roll to go with the latest home video releases. Tuesdays, expand your musical knowledge with Radio 1990's Rock Trivia Quiz. Wednesdays, it's Bang Your Head Day with Hit Parader's Heavy Metal Hotline. Thursdays, we keep you up to date with the latest fashions. Fridays, Radio 1990 goes to the movies with previews of your favorite films. Don't miss a day on Radio 1990 at 7 p.m. and midnight Eastern on USA Tomorrow.
That is a 9. It says Radio 1990.
Okay.
You know how we kind of
futuristic music?
You know, I think maybe, I don't know. That will be looked up as well. And then rounding out the 7 o'clock hour, sorry this took so long, is WOR. That's the one out of Chicago, right? WOR out of New York is showing Vegas, a crime drama. And then very quickly, just to burn through 7:30, Channel 2 is showing PM Magazine. Channel 3, 7, and 10 is showing Family Feud. Guess what I am watching every day at 7:30.
So who's the host of Family Feud at this time?
So the host of Family Feud in 1984, I would believe would still be Richard Dawson.
This week, twice as much Family Feud fun with Richard Dawson and your all-time favorite TV families. It's a week of specials with the Brady Bunch, Petticoat Junction, Your Hit Parade, and Leave It to Beaver. And on Loving, Shayna makes a choice.
If you let Jim live, I promise that I'll give him up to you forever. Because I love him that much.
Then stay tuned for an additional half hour of Family Feud fun with Richard Dawson. Family Feud Celebrity Special, Loving Family Feud. All starting at 11:10 Central and Pacific this week.
I do not remember when that gets turned over. I want to say like 87, 88. It comes back with Ray Combs. I don't remember when it ends either. I feel like it transitions very quickly. But anyway, we got
Ray
some family.
Combs wasn't that long though, right? I feel like he only hosted for like maybe a season or two.
Oh no, he was there for quite a while. Hold on, now I'm just going to do some searching.
Now we are down rabbit hole. I'm so sorry.
Ray Combs Family Feud years, 88 to 94.
Okay.
So just to round out 7:30 very quickly, we got the $100,000 Name That Tune, which was definitely a syndicated show that probably didn't last long. At 5 o'clock, we have, now here's a fun thing. We were just talking about After MASH. At 7:30 on Channel 5, we have MASH. And now I am curious. At 8 p.m. on Channel 5, we have After MASH.
What the heck is After MASH? Is that a whole different
we'll
show?
jump. We'll
Okay.
jump. I'll jump. I will very quickly say that After MASH is a series that I want to say only lasted like a year or two, maybe only a year, but it was After MASH, and it took 3 or 4 of the main characters and kind of, if memory serves, plopped them in like a regular hospital post Korean War. You know, they're no longer in the war. We have some baseball. We've got Untamed World, which I'm going to guess is some kind of like, it's a wildlife show. This is about
Like
the
National Geographic, yeah.
Yeah. We got Barney Miller on Channel 31. I actually love Barney Miller. They actually have a very, like, they were one of the first sitcoms to actually talk about like that had like gay characters and talked about like gay storylines, and had a gay couple that, you know, they put one of the partners in prison. I think he was hustling or somebody stole. I don't remember what but anyway, gays in jail. You know, it's great. CNN Crossfire, boxing on ESPN. Lifetime is 80s Woman, a discussion show, which I would kill to see. We're talking about single adoptive parents. I've been watching a lot, speaking of 1984, and also on television earlier in the day, legitimately in 2024, since Phil Donahue's passing. I have been watching a lot of Donahue. So that's kind of cool that we're here in 1984. Nickelodeon is showing something called Danger Mouse. I have no idea what that is.
Oh my God, you never watched Danger Mouse?
No.
Oh.
I have a feeling the comments are going to be rife with, how do you not know this? What is wrong? What's that? Danger Mouse? I'm not familiar with it. SPN, this mystery network, SPN, is showing Jimmy Houston Outdoors. So, and then we round out 7:30 on USA with Dragnet, which just not a fan of in any of its many iterations. Okay, welcome to Saturday night, everybody. It is 1984. No, that is not Blossom, but it is a young Joey Lawrence who would go on to be Blossom. I don't even know what the nerdy girls in the picture. Do you see? You see. Also, sorry, I should make sure for framing's sake, everybody sees Saturday. It's correct, right? You all can see the image of the cast and the entire.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
It is Saturday night. It is, let's pretend it's 8 o'clock. I picked this image in particular because this is the cast of Give Me a Break. I enjoyed this show quite a bit. It's coming back for its, I believe this is its 4th season, and that'll be at 8:30. Let's start, though, at the top with ABC. We've got a little bit of William Shatner. In TJ Hooker. Appreciate. Are you familiar with the TJ Hooker?
I'm actually sort of familiar with TJ Hooker. If I was choosing this lineup, I would not be watching it, totally watching Different Strokes. But TJ Hooker, William Shatner, was a total babe, so I totally get people watching that.
I don't know. Overall, Prisha, where are you on like the police drama, the police procedural?
So, as much as I don't like police in real life, I love police dramas. So, I might have watched it because I love all kinds of police dramas. I definitely might have watched it.
I am not a police show guy. I typically find them to be very formulaic. I'm also not into like the medical shows. Typically not into like the legal shows. If you're going to be in a courtroom, I mean, you know, I guess, I don't know, anything that's very formulaic and
which is so crazy because those are all my favorite. I love I love medical shows. I love
and listen,
Law and Orders.
There's a reason why we have 911 Las Vegas and what are we on? New York, San Francisco, LA. I don't even know how many series there are now, but like we've got Law and Order. How many now? We've got, you know, isn't there another? Oh, and isn't CSI? Doesn't that have 3 or 4 series on currently?
Not anymore, but yes.
So that ran that into the ground, huh? But anyway, so TJ Hooker is 8 o'clock, and yeah, definitely not watching this. Our other options at 8 o'clock on Saturday night, which, you know, again, hopefully we're cool people. You know, if let's pretend we're like 30 in 1984.
We're totally cool. What are you talking about?
Good Lord, I'm as old as my mother. My mother was 30 in 1984.
Okay.
That just dawned on me.
You're like, wow.
That really put it into some creepy perspective. Like I'm running around 2 years old. She's not watching a lot of well, she might actually be just to keep me kind of, you know, amused by the bright, shiny object, which I'm sure I was hooked from the minute I saw its glow. Anyway, 8 o'clock. Airwolf is also on the air. Airwolf. Are you
What is Airwolf? Not at all. I'm like, Airwolf?
Airwolf is you know, I'm gonna guess. So all the shows, sorry, and I should also explain as we're looking at this chart, all the shows that are the same color, that are not white, that are whatever color I chose for that slide, are returning shows. So the Love Boat, obviously in 1984, is on its, good Lord, what year are we on? How deep are we into that run? I don't even know. So Airwolf is a military show, and it is its gimmick is a helicopter. It centers on a high technology attack helicopter codenamed Airwolf and its crew. So I think one of the takeaways from this show is like, if you probably know anything of Airwolf, and I'll likely be running a you know, the trailer or something over this in the background, you are familiar with the helicopter from the show. I think it's like a beautiful black, sleek, kind of futuristic looking, if I'm not mistaken, helicopter. I don't think it looks like, I mean, obviously it literally says it's a high technology helicopter.
For the series premiere of Airwolf.
I still don't know what all these knobs and buttons are for.
As Stringfellow Hawk and Dominic Santini are forced into a volatile world of cross and double cross on a perilous mission of stealth and high-tech treason to save a war orphan who may be Stringfellow's son.
Now all we have to do is attack Russia, steal a kid, and try not to get caught by our own government.
The exciting television movie begins its run as a new series. Airwolf premieres Saturday.
Hard pass for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm not watching that.
I have a feeling you and I are probably in the same spot, whether we are 10 or 30 in 1984 on Saturday night at 8 o'clock. And that's likely in this double block of Different Strokes and Give Me a Break.
100%. Watching it, having a good time, enjoying it, loving it.
And listen, at 30, I hope we're living life and having fun. If we're single and, you know, if we're married with kids, we're probably likely watching some terrible children's programming. But not for nothing, this is actually very appropriate kids programming at night. This is largely, I mean, if TJ Hooker is going to be heavy on the shooting and the arresting, and, you know, there was the Family Hour when we were, you know, the FCC was forcing, I want to say actually from 7 to 8 o'clock to have Family Hour, to have children, family appropriate television programming. And if we were still doing that experiment in 1984, which I don't believe we are, I believe that's ended, I would say that Different Strokes and Give Me a Break are two perfect examples of shows that would slot in perfectly.
Saturday on Different Strokes, there's disorder in student court when Judge Arnold's girlfriend calls his best friend a nerd.
Would you settle for being called a wimp?
Different Strokes. Then on Give Me a Break, the Chief's in a touchy situation.
You tickled her too?
But is it a case of sexual harassment?
I can't believe it. My father's a lech. Saturday.
But I like it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But I love the idea of it because I think about now we don't watch TV as a family, right? We're not sitting down watching TV. We're not watching TV shows together because TV is so fragmented. There's no shows
that's because our phones aren't rotary anymore. And they now show
True.
videos. I mean,
true. And I have TV everywhere I go, no matter what, any on-demand TV, right? So there's no we don't have to sit and watch this show at 8 p.m. because if I don't watch it at 8 p.m., I will never see it again. It doesn't, it disappears in the ether. But I love the idea of like 8 o'clock, we're all as a family, we're going to sit down, we're going to watch a show together. Like, I kind of miss that a little bit. So yeah, I think that is your family hour. Even if they weren't officially doing it, it wasn't an official policy. I think, networks are still doing it.
Yeah, no. And I mean, we're still trying to appeal to families in a sense. Again, it's 1984, sex and violence is everywhere on television. We're amping it up, we're turning it up. Shows like Airwolf and The Love Boat is while largely like a comedy, right? I guess it wasn't. Love Boat was largely family friendly, right? Like what I
was it? I feel like
here's my biggest problem, and I guess we can just segue into the 9 o'clock hour here. I've seen very little of The Love Boat. I'm pretty sure it was a comedy.
Saturday, Hooker goes to Chicago and teams up with Nookie of Miami Vice.
But they see Hooker, he's dead.
Then, a special 2-hour Love Boat set sail for the Caribbean with guests Lana Turner and Menudo, all starting at 8/7 Central tomorrow.
They're calling it a romantic comedy / drama. So it's all the categories apparently.
It's The Bear, I guess. No, but I do remember there being jokes on the show. Like, I'm just not a fan of The Love Boat. What little I've seen of it, it's never grabbed me. I don't know why.
I agree with you. I never really. It is maybe because it can't decide if it's a romantic comedy or a drama. It's just all of the above. Maybe that's why I've watched bits and pieces here. Kind of the same thing. Like, I would never at 9 o'clock. If I'm not choosing that. I might because I'm bored, but of course I don't know what Mike Hammer is either.
And here's the thing: as we move on to Mike Hammer, Mike Hammer stars Stacy Keach, who is a fairly famous. He's a if you look him up, I think he's a face you'll recognize. I know him. If I'm not mistaken, he was the father figure, the kind of asshole father on Christopher Titus's podcast. He does the podcast in 2024. He will have a sitcom on Fox called
Titus. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm looking at his face now and I'm like,
and he's also done a lot of other stuff too. He's one of those like, I know that face. Anyway, he stars in this crime drama. It's another crime drama. I don't know a lot about it, admittedly. Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer is what its full title is, and I want to say it started as a book or a radio series, but maybe not. I actually might be. So the gimmick is the show follows the adventures of Mike Hammer, the private detective created by crime novelist Mickey Spillane, as he works to solve cases often involving murder. Because it's 1984, somebody's got to die.
Saturday.
You don't have to live a lifetime to know that all glory is fleeting. Sometimes we only get a moment that's all ours.
We do have time for this.
Pressed for time, Mike goes after a drug pusher who covers his tracks with death.
The bottom line of this whole investigation is narcotics.
Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer.
Taxi?
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Let's round out the 9 o'clock hour before we talk about what we would watch, which I have to say right now, I am completely out of everything. If I'm forced gun to my head, The Love Boat, because I at least want some yucks and to, get some laughs. I've never seen a minute of Mike Hammer, and I think for someone who has watched a lot of television, that might say a lot. And I think every time I hear about it, it is one of those like 80s retrospectives that kind of touches on it for a second. You know, I feel like they talk about it in the 80s retrospectives as much as they spend time talking about Herman's head in the 1990s retrospective. So I think for anyone who gets television, appreciate, you know what I meant. You get that. But I think television lovers will appreciate that. Anyway, Partners in Crime at 9 o'clock on NBC is an American crime drama. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up.
Is this the one that's based on the British one too?
I don't. It was screened overseas. Oh, no. So it was screened overseas as 50-50 to avoid confusion with the British series Agatha Christie's Partners in Crime.
Okay.
Which I think you might be thinking about. This is Linda Carter, yes, Wonder Woman.
Oh.
As Carol Stanwyck, and Lonnie Anderson, yes, WKRP in Cincinnati. She did something in the 90s with Burt Reynolds too, right? Anyway, Lonnie Anderson did television as well in the 90s. And it's two women, and they two women with little in common except sharing Raymond as an ex-husband. When Raymond winds up murdered, Carol and Sydney set out to find his killer and eventually decide to run the detective agency Raymond has left them.
This tall brunette, born with a silver spoon in her mouth, was Private Eye Raymond Dashiell Caulfield's first wife. This streetwise blonde and I have only two things in common. We were both married to the same man, and we both divorced him. We met for the first time at his funeral. Are you ready for this? He left us his mansion, mortgaged to the hilt, and the Caulfield Detective Agency. And how do we manage? We call the cops a lot.
It does not sound like my kind of show.
It does not, but they are gorgeous. You need to put this picture up because they are gorgeous in this picture. I'm like, okay, that's why people are watching it. They're not watching it they're watching it because those women are gorgeous and they know them from other shows and they're like,
and
yes.
Wonder Woman, and they're Wonder Woman and the lady from listen, I would think anyone in 1984 that's watching this show because they want to see Lonnie Anderson can tell you what her name was on WKRP in Cincinnati. I cannot right now. And I feel bad because I do enjoy that show a lot, but like I remember Johnny Fever as a character, and that's about it. I don't remember the other character names. And the only thing I remember from that show, just a quick sidebar, we might actually talk. I don't think it's on. No, it's not on in 84. One of my favorite jokes in television of all time is, as God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly. WKRP in Cincinnati, of course, very famous episode, throwing the turkeys out of the back of an airplane as a promotional tactic. And
oh yes, I can see it now. It's a helicopter, and it's coming this way. A helicopter? It's flying something behind it. I can't quite make it out. It's a large banner, and it says, Happy Thanksgiving from WKRP. What a sight, ladies and gentlemen, what a sight. The copter seems to be circling the parking area now. I guess it's looking for a place to land. No, something just came out of the back of the helicopter. It's A dark object, perhaps a skydiver, plummeting to the earth from only 2,000 feet into the air. Second, the third. There's no parachutes yet.
Those can't be skydivers. I can't tell just yet what they are, but... Oh, my God, they're turkeys! Oh, Johnny, can you get this? Oh, they're crashing to the earth right in front of our eyes! One just went through the windshield of a parked car! Johnny, this is terrible. The cars
Running around, pushing each other. Oh, my goodness. Oh, the humanity. Oh, people are running about. The turkeys are hitting the ground like sacks of wet cement. Folks, I don't know how much longer the crowd is running for their lives. I think I'm going to step inside. I can't stay out here and watch this any longer. No, I can't go in there.
Children are searching for their mothers, and oh, not since the Hindenburg tragedy has there been anything like this. I don't know how much longer I can hold my position here, Johnny. The crowd...
Les, are you there? Les isn't there. Thanks for that on-the-spot report, Les. For those of you who just tuned in, the Pinedale Shopping Mall has just been bombed with live turkey. Film at 11.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
Anyway, it didn't go well. Yeah, I'm skipping 9 o'clock entirely. I'm likely going to read a book if I'm forced.
That part.
You know, I will say this to my point about not watching The Love Boat. I would watch Partners in Crime. I would check out this new show. I would dig that it's in San Francisco. I'm hopefully living in California in 1984. I'm hopefully 30 years old, being very gay. Oh, wait.
In 1984, probably
Sorry.
not. Probably not.
I actually, oh, sorry. No. I just immediately thought of what I said and put myself in San Francisco in 1984 and just got incredibly fucking sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm staying at home and I'm enjoying the San Francisco scenery of Partners in Crime. And we are
I think 9 o'clock is when I'm like, let me go give the kids a bath and let me get them ready for some break. I'm not
actually. Yeah, no.
Maybe the Love Boat's in the background, maybe Partners in Crime's in the background. It's just literally probably Partners in Crime because I did not turn it off from watching Give Me a Break. And I'm just like, let me go get the kids a bath. I'm not excited about it. I'm definitely like, let me go do the dishes.
You have a very good point. And you know what? I want to bring up another point real quick as I'm thinking about this. I talk about living in San Francisco in 1984. I immediately go to, I'm an out gay man living in San Francisco, and maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm a closeted gay man living in San Francisco.
Right.
Maybe I'm a closeted gay man living in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I just did have the thought that maybe, I'm a closeted gay man living in West Virginia, where even in 1997 and 98 as a closeted, well, no, by then I was in California, but let's say 95, 96 as a little closeted gay youth. I had 3 channels to choose from. And I don't mean I had the 3 networks. We didn't have cable. I was in West Virginia. We were broke. I had no money. I had NBC over the air. I had TBS over the air, and we kind of had Fox over the air, but I didn't get a lot of CBS shows or ABC shows. So I had to, largely catch up on those later, either in California as a teenager or just later on as an adult. So the kind of that thought also crossed my mind too, of like, not every situation is the same where you have access to all 3 of these channels. You might be stuck watching NBC and end up like I did kind of as a kid, falling in love with everything NBC. Thankfully at the time, NBC was pretty hot in the 90s when Prisha and I were growing up, Must See TV, Friends, all that stuff. Seinfeld, unfortunately. Beat me up in the comments. I don't care. I don't like Seinfeld. Anyway, let's carry on. 10 o'clock on Saturday. We still have the rest of the week to go. Finder of Lost Loves is a new series. in the lineup. I do just want to give a quick overview of what Finder of Lost Loves is, because any of the new shows, especially that I'm sure Prisha you're not familiar with, because why would you be?
Right? Like I
I
don't know
was
this
not
show.
familiar with it. I will say I think the coolest thing about this show is that it is the theme song is Finder of Lost Loves by Dionne Warwick and Luther Vandross.
Oh,
Insert here.
we're here for the song.
Finders of lost love. It's never too late to find love. Put the past behind you. Keep your heart open. Someone's gonna find you. It's never too late for love to fall. When your heart is open up your heart and you'll find never too late for when your heart is
Real quick, the synopsis of this: after Carrie Maxwell's wife Kate dies, there is so much death. We have the dead husbands leaving the wives. Anyway, more death. Wife's Kate dies. He decides to set up a private detective agency specializing in reuniting clients with a former loved one. And why wouldn't you? Similar to The Love Boat, another Aaron Spelling production. This, by the way, was am I correct? It was yes, it was an Aaron Spelling production. If I'm not mistaken, just to make one little side note, at this point in 1984, Aaron Spelling has an obscene number of shows on the air, like eight or nine television shows on this fall schedule. Like, you think it's bad when we're kids and like 90210 and Melrose Place and Models Inc. and you like, oh no. Like, he was on full throttle in the, well, I would say the 70s. I don't know what he was doing in the late, but definitely he was on fire in the late 70s, and he's still going strong here. We're going to talk about Cover Up Now, also a new show. I think it's interesting right now on Saturday night that everything at the 10 o'clock hour is new.
It is very interesting because I'm trying to think of like a typical 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. Nowadays, you get zero new shows. Like, that is where shows go to die.
And I wonder,
Right?
not for nothing, if it was hot. Like, was this like, or sorry, not why would I say, if this was a hot night to go out,
Right.
if we're still going out a lot on Saturday nights in 1984, especially at 10 o'clock. Like, yeah, isn't that when people just start going out? If I'm in San Francisco and I'm still going out in 1984, like, I'm not going out until 10 o'clock. So yeah, Cover Up is at 10 o'clock on CBS. And very quickly, fashion photographer Danny Reynolds' life suddenly changes after the death of her husband. That's when she discovers that he was actually an undercover CIA agent. Yeah,
All these shows are like the same.
Yeah. I will say the one takeaway from this show, Cover Up. So this show actually is a very tragic story. We're going to take a little detour. This show starred a gentleman called John Eric Hexum. I believe I'm saying that right. John Eric Hexum is actually, I will actually pull this up so everybody can be on kind of the same page. Was a very attractive gentleman. Yeah, I think that is the appropriate reaction. Unfortunately, Mr. Hexum died tragically, accidentally, from a self-inflicted blank cartridge gunshot to his head on the set of this show.
What?
So, yeah, he's starring in this show. And I guess messing around on set. I don't fully know all the details of the. He began playing Russian roulette with what he believed was a harmless .44 Magnum prop gun and jokingly placed it to his temple and pulled the trigger. The shot sent the wadding from the blank cartridge into Hexum's skull, driving a bone fragment the size of a quarter into his brain and causing massive hemorrhaging. He was rushed to the hospital and declared brain dead a week later. He was taken off life support on October 18th. An incredibly tragic story.
You know what's even more tragic is that they continued the season.
Yeah, they know. Yeah,
without him.
They ran a little. He passed away. He touched many, and what does it say? Many will continue to be brightened by his light forever and ever.
When a star dies, its light continues to shine across the universe for millenniums. John Eric Hexum died in October of this year, but the lives he touched will continue to be brightened by his light forever and ever.
And we're just going to keep going with this show. Yeah, no, it is pretty crazy, especially since I don't know how well the ratings were, but I don't think it was doing so well. Obviously, it didn't last much longer after his death. I don't know if it would have continued to do well with him not tragically killing himself. I don't know, but it is. I just remember it as being one of those very sad and tragic stories. And
the guy they tried to replace him with is like a knockoff lookalike.
Yeah, no, and he was so attractive. Yeah, no, that's always. I remember being a young gayling and seeing his picture and hearing that story, and been like, oh, that's very sad. It was very sad. Anyway, it's sad anytime anyone dies, but especially when hot people die. Anyway, Hot Pursuit. Hot Pursuit is up next. And let me go back here to Hot Pursuit and tell you a little bit about it. It is an American, obviously a drama television series. Again, typically in 1984, in all the history of television, if you are a half-hour show, you're typically a sitcom. That's not always. There have been exceptions to the rule. But typically, those shows don't win awards en masse without a joke being told or laughter or happy feeling. I'm not talking specifically about The Bear in 2024, but typically if you're a half an hour, you're not a drama, you're a sitcom, as is evident here. And again, Hot Pursuit is a drama, and it is James Weiler, played by Eric Pierpont, and his wife Kate Weiler are an upper middle class couple in Kentucky. Before the events in the series began, Kate is a successful automotive engineer while Jim is a practicing veterinarian. But then Kate is framed for murdering her boss and sentenced to prison.
James Weiler, veterinarian. Catherine Weiler, automotive engineer. A husband and wife who have their life become a nightmare when Kate is convicted of a murder she didn't commit.
That prison, it couldn't be as bad as they say.
I don't want you to go. Now Jim and Kate must live as fugitives, hunted by the police and by the real killers, while they search for the only one who can clear them, the woman who impersonated and helped to frame Kate.
Find her, or find them before they find her.
And the hot pursuit continues.
It doesn't last long. Sorry, I went back to cover up. Hot Pursuit lasts literally 13 episodes. 3 are unaired.
Wow.
Again, I'm not spending a lot of time reading this. We are going to move on because, again, it is. We got 30 minutes left in the time that I allotted for this. But if Prisha's willing to keep going, I will keep going until she says stop. So I'll make her the bad guy here. It is Sunday.
I'm already more excited by what I'm seeing. Already more excited.
I can tell you what I'm definitely watching, which is evidenced by the picture that I chose for this. If Miss Marla Gibbs is on my television, I will be watching Miss Marla Gibbs. I obviously love the Jeffersons and Sherman Helmsley and the entire cast, but I don't know what it is about Marla. It definitely started with. No, I definitely saw the Jeffersons first, loved her on the Jeffersons, but it definitely fell in love with her as a child on 227. And I mean, I was very sad when Norman Lear died. I am not ready for Miss Marla to pass. That will be very hard for me, as it is already, even to think about. We're doing the Jeffersons no matter what at 9 o'clock. There is nothing else on television.
At all.
Beginning to end. Like, listen, I don't know what the rest of the television schedule looks like from when that show started, which is what, 77, 76? I don't know. Let me look it up real quick. Sorry. Jefferson started in 75. Oh, Lord.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, I don't know what's going on television, 75 to 85, but I can tell you that if the Jeffersons are on TV, I will definitely have my butt in the seat tuned to that.
Definitely watching.
That being said, we do have some extra fun stuff here on Sunday at 7 o'clock. Ripley's Believe It or Not. I think we're all kind of familiar with that format. I already see Prisha not loving it.
I'm not watching that. It's just weird to me. Maybe it's entertaining, but not for me.
I vaguely remember it, like watching episodes as a kid. I remember not super liking it. And yeah, I'm probably out just because, again, I didn't watch it as a kid. I remember it in other. Do you remember Dean Cain hosting Ripley's Believe It or Not?
Like the revival one? I do. Yeah,
Okay.
I do. Still didn't like it.
I wanted to make sure that wasn't a fever dream.
Wednesday night on the Superstation, enter the amazing world of Ripley's.
For impossible, it's just a starting point.
Each week, host Dean Cain brings you true stories of the unbelievable, the unexplainable, and the just plain weird.
They call me Lizard Man.
An all-new original series, Ripley's Believe It or Not, Wednesday nights at 8:05 Eastern, 7:05 Central, exclusively on the Superstation.
Believe it.
No, it was a revival. Like I want to say, like in the 90s. I don't.
And that's one.
still
Dean
didn't like
Cain is one that I'm very sad has turned out the way he has turned out. We're also going to revisit that later on in the schedule. We're very sorry that someone turned out the way they turned out. I don't want to evoke the gentleman's name, the overarching orange evil we're talking about, but 60 Minutes is on CBS. Listen, let's go to NBC. I feel like
that part. Those are my shows back to back.
Here's the only thing though. I just don't know. So Silver Spoons, I was never super in love with Silver Spoons.
What?
I enjoyed it. I don't know that I've seen all of it. I liked it. I remember watching it. If I'm 10, I'm definitely here. If I'm 30, listen, if I'm 30, Oh, see, no, though, if I've got kids, we're definitely watching Silver Spoons.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm 30 and I have kids, we're watching Silver Spoons, and we're watching Punky Brewster. We're just doing that. If I'm 10, Silver Spoons was a good show. It wasn't like, oh my God, I have to watch it immediately, but it was a good show.
Sunday on Silver Spoons, Ricky's mom's engaged to the Raiders' John Matuzak. But first, he's got to get past Ricky and Dad. And on Punky Brewster, Punky and Henry move up to the bigs. The littlest shortstop makes a hit for the crowd. But what'll Henry do when she disappears? It's Major League Laughs on Punky Brewster.
And I always feel like the hook for Silver Spoons, like the cultural appeal to children hook, was like, oh, the cool dad who has all the toys, wouldn't it be great to live there and be that rich, right? Okay. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why that never appealed to me. Even as a poor kid, you would have thought like, oh my God, I would have been all over that. I don't know why that never resonated with me. I never super liked Ricky Schroeder. And I think he's also, speaking of the Orange Evil, I think he's also become a dickhead.
Such a problematic with our childhood people. It's like, damn it, why do you have to be such an asshole?
So I will say this, at 10 years old, I'm definitely here on NBC no matter what. At 30 years old, I'm forcing the kids. You've already seen the opening of this show. You know what the credits are, okay? We're going to watch the opening minutes of 60 Minutes because there might actually be an important story that we need to watch. And you might have to go watch on the upstairs TV this childish stuff. But listen, I also go ahead. Yeah, I would say by 84, right? You could listen, it's privilege. Listen, I've got a TV in the bedroom here in 85. It's likely, again, it's a privilege, I think.
It is a privilege. I would say, I'm trying to think of like what we had at 84. I was too young.
Yeah.
I think we might have had 2 TVs, maybe.
And
definitely not one in the bedroom, but definitely maybe like 2 TVs.
My grandparents definitely did. My parents did too. Listen, I think it was a privileged thing. I think it was.
No, they weren't. Yeah, it was. I agree with John David. You had to be privileged. I think most people had a TV in their living room. They may had a TV in a bedroom, but yeah. Go ahead.
Privilege and priority.
Enter a new age of home entertainment values from Zenith. A new VHS video recorder with wireless remote and forehead scanning, $548.80. A 25-inch console, $498.80. A 13-inch with remote, $368.80. And a 19-inch color set is only $298.80. It's a new age of entertainment at your Zenith dealer now.
In Sacramento, see Appliance Giant Furniture in the Southgate Shopping Center. And in Orangevale, see Roy's TV and Appliance at 8944 Greenback Lane.
Because listen, if television is a priority for you, you might not be going out. I don't remember my parents going out to the movie ever. I don't remember them going to see like movies in a theater. Definitely not obviously not when I was young, because why are you taking the brat? Until the brat can control himself in the theater, obviously. I don't remember a date night where like they're going out to a movie and I'm left with a babysitter or anything. I do remember HBO movies. I do remember a lot of VHS movies from I'm remembering that from like 87, 88. So I'm, 5 and 6. So yeah, I remember by 86, 87 or 87, 88. Yes, my parents had a television in the bedroom, but that was also a priority for my dad. My dad was a television addict like I am. I'm in the time machine. I'm with you on Silver Spoons. And yes, let's talk about Punky Brewster. Prisha, tell us about Punky Brewster.
Punky Brewster is probably one of my favorite shows of like all time. And it's so funny because it's not that good of a show when you watch it, but it's not. Looking back, no, it's not good a show. But I remember as a kid watching it and being like, oh my God, I can identify with this girl who's different, who's not like everybody else, who doesn't fit in. And I just remember like loving that show and loving to see her be different and being able to express herself and look different. I loved her outfits. I wanted I still do. Let's not even pretend. As an adult, I still want every single outfit. I just thought it was such a good show. Again, as an adult, I watch it and I'm like, ooh, okay, you know, with 2024 eyes, maybe we're not as PC as we should be, but it's such a good show. As a kid, I just like, oh, I love it.
I also think, like, I don't know, like the PC piece of it isn't even what I think of. Like, just the sheer
writing is.
It is a children's show.
It is written for kids.
We are no doubt. We are at 7 o'clock. NBC is trying to get them children and get them in front of the TV. You've got them. I mean, listen, we are at a point now where, like, culturally, children are kind of telling parents what we're watching. You know, not for nothing. Like, listen. Oh, at the end of the day, yes, mom and dad decide, but we're kind of whining our way to power. And you know, like, I'm sure if I wanted to see Punky Brewster at 7:30, I might have, you know, what am I? Legitimately, I'm 2. So, you know, but let's say if I'm like 7 or something, if I'm 10, I might be throwing a little fit here of like, you know, no, I don't want to watch 60 Minutes. Turn off Andy Rooney. He's terrible. And, and let's watch Punky Brewster. But anyway, kind of my 10 cents on it. I remember it. I do remember it fondly. I actually remember liking Sherry Johnson more than Punky Brewster. I still like, even looking back, I don't know why. I just thought she was cuter. I liked her spirit was, I don't know. I found Punky a little annoying at times. She was younger than Sherry Johnson's character too, wasn't she?
I think by like a little bit. I think they're around the same age, and I agree with you. I think Sherry Johnson's character. I think, again, seeing Black people. We'll talk about this later, but seeing Black people that look like me on TV is just like, oh my gosh! And again, she dressed different. She was sweet and she was funny, and I just loved it. But you're right, Punky was a little bit annoying, a little spoiled. For somebody who is being raised by a foster parent, somehow she's still bratty. But.
And Punky to Sherry Johnson's, I don't even remember what her character name was. That's the.
I think her name was Cherry in the show.
Was it really? It was. Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. What's the story there?
They're like, we're not going to give you. Choose your name. It's fine.
I also vaguely remember like Punky being very like punky in terms of clothing. You talked about the style. I remember her being very, you know, like she might have a bandana around her leg or something. Whereas I feel like Sherry Johnson's character was a little more like the style girl and kind of on point with the style, right? Or am I misremembering that? Was she also?
Yeah, Punky was like kind of like kooky and weirdish, different styles. Where Cherry was like Very or Sherry. I always called her Cherry. Now I'm like hearing it in my head. I don't know if she's correct. But her style was more with the times, but still kind of a little bit offbeat. Which again, as a kid, I always thought it would look so cool. It just looked very cool. I wanted it all, and that's Sunday. We're doing the NBC comedy block. I know Prisha can already see what's on the calendar at 8 o'clock, and I already know where she's going to be. You might be surprised, though. You might be surprised.
But maybe let's start with Hardcastle and McCormick, which I cannot tell you a thing about. I don't know anything about it.
Under the
Very quickly, I will tell you the series stars Brian Keith, and literally, obviously, I'm reading this from Wikipedia. The series stars Brian Keith as Judge Milton C. Hardcastle and Daniel Hugh Kelly as ex-con and race car. I'm already out. Sorry. Can I tell you also? I'm gonna spicy the image in of the like opening title screen. Hardcastle and McCormick. You can see the race car in there. He is a race car driver named Mark Skid McCormick. I hate everything about this already. I will tell you, this is serving up Smokey and the Bandit kind of energy already, which I'm out. I didn't like the movie. Don't care about it. This is a just for, I think, the one note from this show, outside of the fact that I'm going to guess it doesn't sound that interesting what little you know. Plus, I feel like you're already at Murder, She Wrote. But anyway, I feel like neither of us are going to watch Hardcastle and McCormick.
We're not watching it at all. We're not.
I will say one thing. It is I don't know how to pronounce his last name, and I'm going to screw this up, and I feel like I should know because it's been said for me many times throughout my life, but Stephen J. Cannell. It's not Canal. Stephen J. Cannell. Anyway, he is the Rockford Files, the A-Team, Renegade, the Greatest American Hero, 21 Jump Street, The Commish. I feel like there's stuff I'm leaving out. Good Lord, there is. I'm not doing this all day. Anyway, it's him. Moving on at CBS at 8 o'clock, we have the debut, the premiere of Murder, She Wrote. And, very quickly, I will say my one connection to Murder, She Wrote. I like it. It's a perfectly fine show. Angela Lansbury, like in everything else, is a delight. I mean, even in The Manchurian Candidate, where she's the heel, like there's a little, I love her a little bit. But my connection to this is the show that used to air before Monday Night Raw. For
you're like, hurry up, wrap it up.
And you know what? I think
It's premiere week on CBS Sunday.
Looks peaceful, don't he?
No, Mr. Cobb, he looks dead.
Welcome to the world of murder, mystery, and mayhem. Angela Lansbury is out to discover the shocking truth. Murder, She Wrote, followed by the exciting season premiere of Trapper John, M.D. Sunday.
I think this is also a show I remember my grandmother liking. So I might have watched it a little bit with her, but like if I've seen a complete episode, it's maybe 4 or 5 complete episodes I've ever seen. That being said, Prisha, tell me about Murder, She Wrote.
Listen, Murder, She Wrote, I watch it all the time. Even today, it's my comfort show. What I realized is, okay, so this is Sunday night, 8 o'clock. Guess what I'm doing? My mother's doing my hair. Oh. So she's washed my hair and she's watching Murder, She Wrote. And so think I have such fond memories of the show. It was because I was sitting in between my mom's knees and she was doing my hair. So like I watched what she watched, because again, having multiple TVs is a privilege. Yes, and we didn't have that privilege. So I watched that show. I love that. Actually probably would have watched Knight Rider. I love Knight Rider.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I probably would have watched it as a kid, but because my mom loves Angela Lansbury, she watches it again like it's a regular show all the time, and I watch it like a regular show all the time. But I think you associate it with your growing up, and I associate it with sitting there and getting my hair done.
I love
Sunday night. I know. And then you go to bed at 9 o'clock.
Listen, I definitely would not have watched Knight Rider. Cargo Room, I don't care.
Sunday on Knight Rider, deadly diamonds spark high-flying adventure when Michael goes undercover. Someone has to do it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Knight Rider, Sunday.
It didn't interest me that it was talking. There's just something about David Hasselhoff that I didn't like Baywatch, and it was largely because of him. Obviously, I like Baywatch for other reasons. But like, yes, David Chokachi being one of them. But yeah, there was just, I never fully connected to Baywatch. And obviously, because let's be honest, it wasn't that great of a show. But in my opinion, maybe everybody loves it. Tell me in the comments. But there's something about Hasselhoff, something about the Hoff that never did it for me. And I'm out on Knight Rider. The only thing I think of when I think of Knight Rider is the Tootsie Roll song by Lil Kim. That's me, the Knight Rider. Like it literally, that is when you say Knight Rider to me, I think of that first before I think of this show. And then just to round out 8 o'clock, since it's here on the schedule, PBS is showing Nature. I'm sure it's delightful.
That part, I'm sure it's interesting if you like nature.
I'm sure. Listen, I what little I know of Nature, yeah, I am actually sure it's a very enriching show. I've seen a couple episodes over the years, but
legend has it that this is the final resting place of the King of Abyssinia, son of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. In modern times, Ernest Hemingway immortalized it. But legends and stories are only a part of the grandeur of Africa's highest mountain. Its icy peak towers 3 miles above the equatorial plain, and its slopes are home to forms of life that flourish where the lions and elephants of the plain below cannot survive.
Nowhere else on Earth could a journey of less than a week encompass natural conditions ranging from those found at the poles, through those of a tropical forest, to those found only on an equatorial savanna.
Kilimanjaro, next time on Nature.
Sunday night at 7 here on TV 19.
If memory serves, it is one of those shows that does kind of serve up some real stuff sometimes, like lions chasing things down, and that's I can't handle that. It is John David hates it. I'm constantly fast forwarding through. We watch a show called Gogglebox, which very quick and dirty. Gogglebox is a show originally out of Britain. It also has spin-offs in Australia and Ireland. I don't actually know if Ireland's on the air anymore. Anyway, it has people watching and reacting to television. That's it. And they watch a lot of David Attenborough, like the Planet Earth and stuff. And, you know, just series where there's animals chasing down and gore and death. And
I'm with you. I can't watch like when the lions are trapping this and that. I'm cheering for the lion, but I'm also like, ooh, and I'm like, I can't watch it. And yeah, it stresses me out.
I know it's the real world. I know it's nature. I don't need it. And I'm sorry, PBS. I'm going to be watching Murder, She Wrote. Because I will say the one thing about Murder, She Wrote, very family friendly. Like
it is very friendly. Surprisingly, even though it's about murder.
Never any blood or gore. Rarely bodies. Did you see bodies? There weren't. I don't remember a lot of bodies.
As somebody who watches it on a daily basis, yes, there are bodies, but there's not. It's not like it's not gory.
It's not like CSI where you're coming up on dead bodies on a run constantly, and it's
like a knife sticking out of someone but no blood. Type thing. Is that what it was?
I think there's blood later in the series, but not in the beginning. In the beginning, it's not gory. It's not a lot of blood. It's, you know, pretty tame on the, you know, you don't see people stabbing. You might see the shadow of someone stabbing, but you don't see, it's just not violent. It's not, you know.
It's artistically done.
Yes. And again, yes, you can watch it. You can, I'm telling you, I watched that show. The reason why I love it is because I watched it with my mother every single Sunday night. Because she was doing my hair.
And to the family-friendly part too. Again, Monday Night Raw started at 8 o'clock. That aired at 7 o'clock on USA. So there you go. Not for nothing. The only thing I remember about Silk Stockings is that it would come on after Raw. And then I would turn my television off. Other people can look up Silk Stockings. We're staying in 1984. I don't even know what this is. I can't even read it. This is the ABC Sunday Night Movie you got here. And we also have the NBC Sunday Night Movie, or Sunday Night at the Movies on NBC.
It's interesting that they were competing that way, that they would both show movies. It's really interesting.
And you know, the wrestling fan in me who loved that, you know, Monday Night War kind of ratings back and forth would actually love to see the numbers. And obviously, I want to see what was shown each week. I don't have a lot of information here, unfortunately. Sorry, I didn't do a lot of research, but thankfully I didn't because this is already long enough. But yeah, you know, we're showing movies here, and we're showing anything from a world premiere of a movie that was in a theater, 2, 3, 4 years ago, to a world premiere movie. I'm thinking something like there was a movie, a made-for-television movie specifically. Sorry, the children do not know. I have to remember a made-for-television movie, specifically a movie made for television. It was not made to be shown in theaters. They were very low budget. I'm thinking of one in particular starring Lucille Ball as a homeless woman.
Hi, I'm Lucy. They carry most or all of their possessions with them. Constantly, they're on the move. Each one has a story that is unique. They are our nation's homeless. On November 5th, the CBS television network will air a very special made-for-television movie called Stone Pillow. Please join us.
She plays 2 hours in a very dramatic role that you're not expecting of her, obviously, and got a lot of rave reviews for it. This will often also be a slot for your miniseries.
So, like every February when they would show Roots.
I mean, you know, are we doing that in February yet in 1984?
I think so. Is that when I feel like it started in the late 80s, maybe, or mid 80s. When did they first show Roots?
It first aired 77, right? Because I'm curious. Roots did premiere in 1977. Very proud for knowing that.
Yeah, no, good job. But I do feel like that is when they would do, like, during February, they would run it for the whole, like, every Sunday. Because I remember definitely as a kid sitting there and watching it on TV.
Yeah.
Every week, though, in short episodes. So I don't know.
I love that they're doing that. I did not know that they were doing. I mean, although I do. No, we just had it on. I remember my aunt and uncle just had it on VHS.
We had it on VHS too. So
yeah, so I just remember watching it on VHS.
But I do remember watching it on TV. I don't know what.
So, yeah,
doing, but we had it on VHS anyway, and we watched it on TV.
Let's get out of Sunday very quickly. I feel like we're going to be in the same spot. I feel like we're on CBS. Obviously, we're starting 9 o'clock with the Jeffersons. Are you familiar with Alice?
I love Alice.
Okay. Yes. So obviously the movie Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. We turn it very dramatic, if memory serves. It's more of a drama than a comedy.
Sunday, they broke into my store. A pair of hooligans get caught trying to take the Jeffersons to the cleaners.
Just like a baseball bat makes a better impression.
Then on Alice, has Mel taken up breakdancing?
Do you want to dance at my diner? I guess we can dance in a dump.
And on Trapper John,
I want you to discharge her.
Gonzo fights to cure an escaped mental patient.
You've got to trust me.
Sunday.
You know, we end up with a sitcom with Linda Lavin playing Alice. I don't remember who played Flo, but Flo is a very popular character. I do. Sorry, just for 1 second. Just kind of going back to Saturday. I did just have a thought. T.J. Hooker lasts for a couple of years. Airwolf, I think, is on for like 3 or 4 years. Different Strokes. This might be ending up their run here. Give Me a Break, I think, is kind of ending their run here. Love Boat is definitely ending their run. Got to be 84 right about now. Mike Hammer doesn't last long. Partners in Crime doesn't last long. And the shows at 10 o'clock don't last long. Okay, Sunday. Ripley's Believe It or Not, we talked about it. It's got other incarnations. 60 Minutes is still on the air. Silver Spoons lasts for a while. Punky's on for 4 or 5 years. I did forget to mention to Punky Brewster, and I wanted to say this. Punky Brewster actually had a revival recently. 2021, 2022. Lasted a year or two. Cherry Johnson comes back, I believe. Soleil Moon Frye is there, obviously. You're not doing Punky without Soleil Moon Frye. Hardcastle McCormick, not around for a long time. 12 years for Murder, She Wrote. 12 years. Knight Rider. I will correct myself in the comments or, in the stuff in the bottom, obviously. Knight Rider, I feel like is on for 4 or 5 years. Nature, I want to say Nature is still an active production by PBS. Don't hold me to that. I know Nova is, and I feel like Nova was on in 1984. So a show like Nature, I feel like if nothing else, PBS is very loyal. Like McNeil Lehrer NewsHour becomes PBS NewsHour, and it is still on the air with Amna Nawaz and Jeff. Help me out. Jeff Bennett. I think it's Jeff Bennett. Anyway, John David, a great help as always. So we're watching The Jeffersons, we're watching Alice and Trapper John M.D.
I've never heard of the show.
I'm not familiar with it outside of the fact that I do think it stars someone kind of wasn't. Yes. Okay. So where I'm going to do a little cheat. Okay. That's on Tuesday. So we talked about MASH a little bit earlier. After MASH comes on Tuesday night, we'll get to that in a minute. Trapper John MD is a spinoff of MASH.
Oh, because Trapper is one of the characters in MASH. Oh my God, I should have figured that out. I should have figured that out. Yes,
I
you're
love that
absolutely
you
right.
know that because I didn't watch it.
So randomly, I saw an advertisement. Someone was talking about MASH. I mean, it might have been you. Somebody was talking about MASH, and I was like, I want to watch it because I didn't like it as a kid. My mom loved it, and I just did not. I could not get into it. Watching it as an adult, it is a funny show. It is a really good show. It's well written. It's funny. I mean, it's a little sexist, but again, you have to think about when it was written. But I'm like surprised how much I'm enjoying the show. I'm totally shocked.
To your point about its sexism, again, a show produced largely in the 70s.
Exactly.
And not for nothing, in an even deeper defense about the 50s, because we're in the Korean War. So, it does make sense that it hasn't aged well. I just remember MASH, the theme song for MASH was one of those theme songs that meant it was time to either turn the channel or leave the room.
That part, it was definitely bedtime. It was definitely.
I do remember my dad liking it and watching it on occasion, but yeah, it was largely checkout time. It was not for me. So I would not have
on it. I wonder if it came on at 10 because I definitely remember, like, you're right. Like when the theme song came on, it was like, will they let me stay up later? Oh, nope. My mom was like, you need to go to bed. So I wonder if it was like 10 o'clock or 9:30ish or something.
By the time we're watching TV, MASH is off the air and it's in heavy syndication. We've had what is the largest television finale in the history of television with 81 million or something. I'll correct myself. But it's been it's definitely in heavy syndication. And yeah, it could have aired anywhere in the market. But I'm done at 10 o'clock. Maybe I'm switching over to one of the movies. I don't know. But yeah, it's Sunday. We're getting ready for work.
Like if I'm 30 years old, I'm getting ready to go to work. I'm taking a bath and
And I'm definitely I don't want to leave PBS unattended down there. Bless its little heart. Masterpiece Theater. Not for nothing. If I'm 10 years old, we're likely watching Masterpiece Theater because my mother loved that. Like it
really,
talking about the televisions, she's likely watching it in the bedroom. Because I just remember watching The Jeffersons. Well, I will say by the time I'm watching The Jeffersons, it's in syndication. So we're watching The Jeffersons at 2 p.m., at 6 p.m., whenever. And also, not for nothing, 1984, there is less options for syndication. There's no Friends. There's no Drew Carey show. Why am I pulling these weird shows out of my ass? I don't know where Drew came from, but you know what I mean? Like, there's less of a catalog of shows to choose from. So, like, yeah, you might be in a market where The Jeffersons is so freaking popular that it is airing at 2 p.m. and then also airing again at like 7 p.m. And then it might be so big we're going to air it again at like 11 because we're not NBC and we don't show Carson and we're not, whatever. Television, it was such a cool yet weird landscape in the 80s. I am desperate to keep this moving. Prisha, are you on board?
Yeah, let's do Monday.
Yes, Monday, here we come. Listen, I picked the picture, and it was a big, like, for me, it was kind of a spoiler alert for where we're at or where I'm at every night. I love Bob Newhart. I definitely would have been watching that at 9:30, but let's start off at 8 p.m. With a show that I just really want to. I'm gonna assume, Prisha, you don't know what Street Hawk is, do you?
I don't know what Street Hawk is, and can I just say, overall, they weren't excited about Monday. They were like, people are not watching TV on Monday. This is kind of sad.
I mean, listen, I will say this: it is 1984. I don't remember when primetime wrestling starts on Monday nights. Primetime wrestling is the precursor to Monday Night Raw. If there is wrestling airing in 1984 on Monday night on USA Network, I will be there. I don't think there is. Don't hold me to that. I'll correct myself. But I do know on Tuesday nights we do have wrestling. Anyway, sorry, that was a little tangent. That was largely to say that I hope there's wrestling because I don't really want to watch anything here.
That part.
We've got Street Hawks as a brand new show at 8 o'clock. Street Hawk is about a motorcycle.
This is the man. This is the machine. This will be the year of the Street Hawk, beginning Friday, January 4th on ABC.
Street Hawk. On ABC, Street Hawk was supposed to air at 8 to 9 p.m., but production problems delayed the series premiere. So actually premiered, now I'm curious, January 4th of 1985. So if we're reading this TV guide in 1984, it is on the fall schedule. We're excited for it. We're not. But listen.
We are totally excited for it. What are you talking about?
Listen, I will say this. I will say this. I hope I'm at least in love with television enough, whether I'm 10 or I'm 30 at this point, to still be in my, I'm going to watch the pilot of everything. I'm going to give it a chance. Amen. I'm going to give it one shot. And I'm likely going to be out because this is a show about a motorcycle. Did you watch the Goldbergs?
No, I watched a little bit of the Goldbergs. Not
but you get
enough.
it, right?
Yeah,
like,
I thought it was a good show. I just wasn't.
Do you remember Barry Goldberg, the brother, the very bro-ish? Yeah. He's watching this show.
Oh, yeah.
He is hooked. He read it in TV Guide. This fall. He said, he has marked it. He's pissed off the rest of the family by marking up the TV Guide. But this is the type of show that he's watching.
Right. I think my thing is, and I know it's TV at this time period, and well, actually even TV now, but it's Street Hawk is so similar to Knight Rider, which is so similar to, I'm like, why are all these shows the same?
One thing I think, not for nothing, I think there was definitely, and it would be interesting to see the numbers kind of generationally, to see the demographics of who's watching television right now. But it does feel like in a lot of these blocks, we are working very hard to appeal to the teenage boy. Even, I don't know, like they're all kind of boy action shows, you know. Even the next one, Scarecrow and Mrs. King, is this show. Scarecrow and Mrs. King is continuing. It is in its second season. It's beginning its second season here, and it is a show with Kate Jackson, who is a name you may remember, one of the Charlie's Angels, and Bruce Boxleitner, another name you may remember, who would go on to, correct me if I'm wrong, he was the captain in Babylon 5. Anyway, Kate Jackson, Bruce Boxleitner, their divorced housewife, Amanda King, and top-level agency operative, very generic.
Another show where there's an agency where they're fighting crime. Like, come on.
Even if they're a married couple and it's like a romantic show, there is still a boy element, yes. Who began an unusual partnership and eventually romance after encountering one another in a train station.
Mondays, he's Scarecrow. She's Mrs. King. He's a spy with flair. She's not your ordinary mother of two. Together, they're partners undercover. Kate Jackson and Bruce Boxleitner tackle international espionage as Scarecrow and Mrs. King. Mondays at 8 on TV6.
I'm sure there's someone that loved this show. I can't.
I'm not watching it.
Yeah. It doesn't sound for me. I will say, immediately upon looking at the 8 o'clock hour, I don't know what Wonderworks is, and I should have done some research. And actually, I do want to know real quick. Let me see if I can find out very quickly. But I'm definitely here on NBC, and I am watching bloopers and practical jokes and whatever this is. What is this? TV's Bloopers and Practical Jokes is the official title. Wonderworks was a PBS anthology series. It's a children's anthology television series at 8 o'clock. Go PBS. It premiered. I'm sorry, I actually should have had it apparently whited out here. It is premiering in 1984. The series consisted of short made-for-television films out of acclaimed children's books.
Okay.
That actually sounds like a lot of fun.
I actually might be watching Wonderworks, maybe.
If I'm 10 years old, yeah, I'm likely. Mom and Dad have made me suffer the news, I hope. I hope they're watching some kind of news. They're probably watching Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy or something. But yeah, it's doing Anna Green Gables, Jacob Have I Loved, The Box of Delights, C.S. Lewis, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Hoboken Chicken Emergency. I don't know what half of these are. Oddly, and Yvette at the Edge of the World. Prisha, where are you at 8 o'clock on this?
I'm most likely watching TV bloopers. And like, if I have to choose, most likely TV bloopers.
Yeah.
Maybe Wonderworks because I love books, but I'm not excited. I'm not like, oh my God, I can't wait to watch TV. I'm like, oh.
Monday, it's Family Ties Bloopers with Michael Gross. Practical jokes on pop star Cyndi Lauper and Knots Landing's Joan Van Ark. Plus, animals just want to have fun, too. Monday.
And I being the same age, I would assume for you that TV bloopers and practical jokes has the same kind of resonance, that it is typically like a seasonal oddity.
Yeah.
It would maybe air like once a season, once every season, maybe. And by season, I meant like once in the fall, once in the spring, maybe one in the summer. They might have been quarterly. They were still Dick Clark, and they were actually probably just reruns of this. What am I talking about? But I don't know. I do feel like I remember age-appropriate 1997 Dick Clark coming onto my television on NBC, but not every week. And sharing like, here's some funny stuff from Frasier, and ha ha ha, isn't that Matthew Perry hilarious? You know. But it wasn't every week.
I can't imagine what they were doing every week. I kind of want to like pull up an episode and watch it from 1984 just to see, because I just don't see it being funny. I don't know if that's harsh.
I feel like it was largely like, listen, in 1984, Three's Company has just gone off the air. So I feel like we're seeing some Three's Company bloopers. We're seeing John Ritter.
Are we talking about like behind the scene bloopers?
Yes.
Are we talking about mistakes? I just how much is there to watch?
I think there's a fair amount. You know, think about all the TV shows that are in production at this time. Think about kind of the catalog they have to pull from too. If I'm producing this in 1984, I'm heavily focusing on shows that are currently on the air, because also I think it's too a promotional vehicle as well.
Of course.
But you're also doing like let's take a minute and go back to 1950 whatever and take a look at I Love Lucy and some hijinks that they pull out of the the vault from Lucy or whatever. But yeah, let's get out of 8 o'clock before Monday lasts too long. Before we spend an hour in 8 o'clock. It is 9 o'clock. I know you're a football fan. So
I'm watching football. If I'm 30 years old, I'm watching football. I watch football, Monday Night Football all the time. It doesn't matter who's playing. I love football. I'm watching football. But it's mostly because I'm not excited about that much. Like, Kate and Allie is not a bad show. It's just, no offense to anybody, but two white women who are like, they're raising their kids together, right? It's a funny show, but I don't watch it.
It is. So we'll just do spoiler alert, since you're taking Monday Night Football and that takes up that whole block. And listen, we fast forward to 1993. We're done on Monday nights. It is Monday Night Raw, and there is nothing else. Like, if memory serves vaguely, Murphy Brown aired on Monday nights.
Really?
I think, right? We'll cut that if it's not true. Anyway, I feel like that's one of the reasons I didn't watch Murphy Brown, is because she aired on Monday nights. I also, that was when I didn't have that channel. That was why I didn't watch. Anyway, Monday Night Football, Prisha. I will be on CBS, obviously, watching. I do want to bring up one point, and I do want to see how this changes your commitment to ABC on Monday nights. Football ends when? January?
Yeah, usually January.
So it looks like until baseball starts, we have the ABC Monday Night Movie, or you have baseball in the summer, which I know you're not the biggest baseball fan, so I don't imagine you're watching that.
No, so here's the thing. I love the Newhart show. I think Bob Newhart is immensely funny. Like, he's just so funny. And I think the writing on both his shows is really, really good. So I would actually watch the Newhart show. If I'm not watching football, but Kate and Allie I thought was just silly to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just,
and no need to defend it, because I get it. Because Kate and Allie is one of those shows that I like, but I never loved.
Right?
I've seen every episode, but it's not like I don't really need to watch it again. Where I would go back and watch episodes of Newhart at that inn any day of the week.
Monday,
I'm in jail in Germany.
Amanda's framed for counterfeiting and Lee's in a deadly trap on Scarecrow and Mrs. King. And a letter helps Kate and Allie reunite old lovers.
Isn't that a kick in the pants?
Then Newhart
Dick was arrested.
has a brush with the law.
If I try to prove my innocence anymore, I'll wind up on death row.
And then
You are bait for a killer, plain and simple.
a dangerous undercover assignment tears Lacey's family apart.
Don't go out in the cab again, please.
Cagney and Lacey, Monday.
To your point about Newhart, it is Newhart over the Bob Newhart show for me, any day, all day. I love this inn. I love these characters. Listen, Larry, Daryl, and Daryl was stupid, and it was a joke that was well rung and should have. It was the 80s, and we ran that shit into the ground. If you got a catchphrase, you're going to hear it in every episode.
Anything for a buck.
Oh, yes. Dick, the gentlemen are here. Hurry, okay?
Oh, boy.
Hi, I'm Larry. This is my brother Daryl. That's my other brother Daryl.
So, how you doing?
Oh, okay, except I throwed my back out last week crawling under a house.
Sounds like a tough job.
Wasn't a job, I just like crawling under houses.
You got it, dude. So Larry, Daryl, and Daryl, this is my brother, Daryl is my other brother Daryl. Like, we're gonna get it. But I don't know, there's just I like the therapist show. I like the therapy show. I love him in that show. I love Suzanne Pleshette. But there's just something about this show that, and probably generational. I was raised more on this show. I saw this show more than I did the Bob Newhart show, which is odd because you would have thought the Bob Newhart show was in heavy syndication. I also don't know, I think as a kid too, Larry, Daryl, and Daryl being so silly might have been attractive to me, and that's why I liked it. Kind of looking at it through that childhood eyes, whereas adults being an adult in the workplace is a little harder for me than, this is still a workplace comedy in a sense, since they work in the inn.
Right.
But I don't know. I love these. I love these shows. I'm here for the sitcoms.
Me too.
I likely don't know. Again, the movies are such a toss-up. If there's a really good movie on NBC, like maybe you'll drag me away from Kate and Allie and the Newhart show, but the Newhart show. But I'm likely not watching the movie. I'm not watching football at 10 o'clock, and I'm not watching Cagney and Lacey. So
I'm looking at this, and I'm kind of like, I'm trying to think of like my mom. My mom, 30 years old, right? I actually don't know how she would be because I don't like doing math, but I'm like, as a Black woman, what is she watching? And she doesn't watch football, so she's not watching football. Yeah. She might watch Kate and Allie because they're single moms, and maybe she kind of related to that. Right, yeah. She might watch the Newhart show. Cagney and Lacey, she's probably not really watching because it's at 10 o'clock. She might be getting ready for, but in the movie, she's, depending, there's nothing here that appears to people of color.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know. What are we watching?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned like Kate and Allie, and then also characters of color. Like, how many Black women are forced to watch white women and, have those experiences in those shows? Because to your point, there are not a lot of other options.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I'd be very curious to be like, hey mom, out of this, like, what would you watch? I would actually just very curious to see what she would say.
And also, again, not to ignore PBS. I don't know much about this series. It was a mini series. It is Heritage, Civilization and the Jews. I actually would actually like to watch this.
It actually might be interesting.
It would be a good of the moment kind of series to watch. I want to say it's like 8 or 9 parts. So it definitely would have run, over 8 or 9 weeks. It's also something that, if it does well enough for PBS and does well enough for local affiliates, obviously during pledge drive weeks, if it's generating a lot of revenue, this is likely something they would have run again. Because why not? Prisha, Tuesday night?
Yeah, let's do Tuesday.
It is Tuesday night. We are burning through the week. As I said earlier, and I can tell you just by looking at this, it is 8 o'clock. Tuesday Night Titans is on the air in 1984.
The fuse has been lit for explosive action. USA has packed your Tuesday nights with the superstars of wrestling. It's Tuesday Night Titans Wrestling TNT. Featuring the heroes, the villains, the glamour, the glory. Tuesday Night Titans Wrestling TNT. Every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on USA. It's Dynamite.
Hulkamania has just started to run wild in January, so we're 9 months into Hulkamania, 10 months now. So Vince McMahon has this ridiculous television talk show format. He is sitting behind a desk like he is Johnny Carson, and it is largely a promotional vehicle for his other television shows.
Was he like interviewing wrestlers? Like wrestlers were coming on? Oh, I did not know this. Wow.
And wrestlers are coming on in character too.
Of course, of course.
So Hulk Hogan is Hulk Hogan, brother. If it airs at 8 o'clock, I'm watching it at 8 o'clock, obviously.
Right.
But let's start at 8 o'clock.
Okay, Foul-Ups, Bleeps, and Blunders. What is the difference between that and
you know what? There is none. And I'm actually it's a very good question to ask, and I want to see. Okay, so this is very interesting. As I said, bloopers and practical jokes is a Dick Clark production. Practical jokes, the bloopers and practical jokes with Dick Clark and Ed McMahon was popular. It was a decent ratings grab for NBC. So ABC figures, why not?
Tuesday, if they blow it, we'll show it on Foul-Ups.
What is known as instant readiness.
Bleeps.
And I'm talking about personal contact in a...
And Blunders. Foul-Ups, Bleeps, and Blunders right before Happy Days. Tuesday.
It ran for 2 seasons. So this would be I think it's second season actually, because it's not a new show here. And it's hosted by Steve Lawrence, who I think you're right to go who. I don't know. I don't know if you're familiar with Steve and Edie. They were a fairly popular singing group in the 60s and 70s. I want to say they were one of those, like acts that was always on television, like Charo was always on television.
Oh, yes. We don't quite even know where she came from, but she
or why she was there. Gucci.
Right.
We know why she was there. Johnny loved her, but
but
she was also all over other television. She was this cultural phenomenon. Steve and Edie were kind of that. They were just this singing act. Anyway, it was hosted by Steve Lawrence and Don Rickles.
Oh.
So that might have been the reason why it didn't last longer. I don't know. I wasn't a big Don Rickles guy. He's okay. Produced by a completely separate guy, completely different show. Apparently, they also did some candid camera stuff as well. That kind of hidden camera prank stuff. And that would, for me, if I'm thinking of Don Rickles, he's kind of a roaster, right? He's kind of I think of Don Rickles as kind of a dickhead. Sorry.
Yeah, he's kind of a jerk.
For everybody.
But that's his whole thing. That's his thing. This thing is to be a jerk. So if everyone loves him, they know he's supposed to be a jerk.
Three's Company has ended just a couple months before. It has ended with John Ritter getting married to this lady whose name I could not tell you, with a gun to my head to save my life. But pretending wrestling is not on at 8 o'clock. I am likely watching Three's a Crowd, because why not? I love John Ritter. Again, we're doing a new cast here. It's the father-in-law and the kind of hijinks with the newly married couple. I want to say they obviously move in. Have you ever seen Three's a Crowd?
I have, and I'm I don't remember. Did it last a long time?
I feel like it's 1 year, 22 episodes. It's in and out.
Yeah, it was a funny-ish show.
Lovers they can't divide, making it side by side. Trouble may be around us, stand on our ground and we won't give in. Swimming against the tide, making it side by side.
I think at this point, listen, there's a thing in wrestling, a phrase that a commentator in wrestling, Jim Cornette, will use, and it is, "How can I miss you if you won't go away?" John Ritter at this point has been on television for, I want to say Three's Company lasted like 11 years. It was on television. Only 8. Okay, well, so maybe that's not it. I don't know. Maybe it's not that, but maybe there was a bit of like worn out. And also, not for nothing, it was just an okay show.
Right. It's an okay show. I don't think the writing was as snappy as Three. I don't even know. Three's Company at the end wasn't that good of a show either.
No, it had definitely run out of ideas. No, it had run out of ideas. It was starting to get a little bland. And yeah, I think maybe at this point it was just tired of the character. This wasn't that great of a show. And yeah, I definitely would have watched it. I would have been here. Mostly because the rest of the calendar does nothing for me.
Right. So you're going to be shocked. I'm watching the A-Team. And let me tell you why. I was obsessed, like most 80s kids.
I'm not
with
shocked.
Mr. T. Mr. T, I was obsessed with him. I thought he was so cool. I thought he just, of course, I think I, fell for the marketing that was marketed directly to us. He had toys, he had this, he had it saying, he looked different, he was cool, he was black like my family. So I just thought he was cool. I didn't even like the show, to tell you the truth. I thought the show was very cheesy. Even when I was a kid, I thought the show was cheesy, but Mr. T was cool.
And it's definitely in the realm of those boy shows.
Tuesday, the A-Team throws caution to the wind.
I wouldn't fool with him if I was you.
And blows the lid off crime. Then can the boys from Riptide crack a murder case before they become the victims?
Got me hanging on the edge of my seat.
And Remington Steele takes the plunge.
What is better than Dynasty?
Tuesday.
Oh yeah, another boy show. Yes, it's not marketed to me, but I love Mr. T, so I would watch. I watched the show. I feel like it used to come on Saturdays. I feel like I watched it like after cartoons or somewhere around there when I later in the 80s.
And remember, and I don't know how long. Give me 1 second. Let me find.
I know it's probably in syndication. By the time I actually watched it, but
5 years. So it went from 83 to 87. So yeah, likely by the time you're watching it, it is in syndication.
Is this okay? So this ER, is that the ER? That's not the ER. No, it can't be. Okay.
So our ER started 95, 94.
That's what I thought. I was like, wait, hold on. That could not be. So what is this ER?
This ER is a sitcom.
Sunday.
This is a hospital.
It's Elliot Gould.
Now let's all try to act like professionals.
In ER.
Hi, cutie.
But what's George Jefferson doing here?
That just also happens to be titled ER. Because why wouldn't you? It's 1984. You've never heard of the wildly successful NBC drama ER. So why wouldn't you name a sitcom taking place in an ER? ER. Unfortunately, it does not last that long. I want to get right with the Lord on how long it lasts. It is there from September 16th of 1984. So it is, if we're in the time machine and we're doing the Wrestle 40 thing, go check it out. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I just want to do bells and whistles right now. We're what, a couple weeks into this show, or a month? So we're about 4 or 5 weeks into this series. And I guess it's not doing that great because it doesn't last long. It ends at the end of this. It ends in February of 85. So yeah, one season, 22 episodes, in and out. You got a full season run, so that's good. Again, I'm watching Three's a Crowd, likely. And I'm also not watching After MASH because I don't like MASH, so I'm not there for that.
Right.
And yeah, I might watch the first episode of ER to see. But again, we're also in this weird space too, where, speaking of privilege, not everyone has a VCR. So I can't record ER and watch it later while I watch Three's a Crowd live, or vice versa. And so, yeah, if Three's a Crowd and ER are going back to back, I'm having to pick and having to choose, which is kind of the fun of why we're here. What are we watching on this night? So, yeah, appreciate you're watching the A-Team.
I'm watching the A-Team.
To your point about Mr. T, and again, to bring it back to wrestling, we are months away from WrestleMania 1, which is March 31st, 1985. Mr. Good God made him a megastar. Made Hulk Hogan a megastar as Thunderlips.
The only reason I know who Hulk Hogan was is through Mr. T, because I wasn't watching wrestling. Actually, that's not true. I was watching wrestling because, again, there wasn't a lot of things to watch on Saturdays. But yeah, I became a fan through Mr. T, which I guess sounds really weird. But Mr. T was everything when I was a kid.
And it's not really weird because that was absolutely the intention. Mr. T appearing, granted it was pay-per-view television, but he was still appearing to promote the show on the regular TV. It was a crossover television event. He was absolutely trying to get all those 14-year-old boys that weren't watching Hulk Hogan and wrestling. Vince McMahon was trying to get them through the A-Team. Mr. T was on wrestling. Oh yeah, okay. And you know, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm pretty sure, to your point, it worked.
I'm sure it did. I'm sure. I know it did. It worked for me.
There you go.
And that was years later. So yeah.
Nova, PBS. I talked about that venerable show. Nova, still on the air to this day. Science show. I actually might have, depending on what the topic is, I might have been watching Nova, not for nothing. I actually dig Nova. I dug Nova. I don't like the nature part of the science, but boy, I love, like, you know, Nova could do a whole thing about like electricity or, you know, like whatever, like a variety of topics. I might be checking in. I don't know. But likely I'm kicking it on ABC and watching Foul Ups, Bleeps, and Blunders. That is a mouthful. Going into Three's a Crowd. And speaking of, let's go to 9 o'clock. And Paper Dolls is, I know it's hard to read. No, it's terrible.
I'm like, is it paper or
It's
Papa?
paper.
Okay, it is paper.
Paper Dolls is, I also believe, another Aaron Spelling production. Do not hold me
It
to that. But
sounds so Aaron Spelling
let
too.
me confirm. And it is not actually. This is a
Okay.
Leonard Goldberg production.
Oh, he's done a lot too.
He has done a lot. Leonard Goldberg, most recently, is famous for what's that show that will not quit? Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
He is the executive producer of Blue Bloods. However, in 1984, 40 years ago, he was the producer of this show called Paper Dolls, which, you know, did you ever play with paper dolls?
No, I could actually afford Barbies.
So I could also afford toys as a child, at least somewhat. But I also used to confession time. I've never confessed this publicly. This is actually so my aunt had a very vast wrestling collection of magazines and videos. I'm a wrestling obsessive because of her. As a kid, for some reason, I was compelled to take her wrestling magazines and in some of them cut out pictures. Now, as someone who collects wrestling magazines myself now and even sells them, I want to go back and punch myself. I want to take this time machine and literally assault a 10-year-old child. Because, yeah, that's about, I was 10, 11, 12. 10, 11. Would cut these pictures out and put them on index cards that would, like, have a little profile picture. I was basically recreating what I saw in the magazines. And I was doing early design work, not for nothing. It served me well.
Look at you. You were doing, you were working your talent.
I feel terrible about it. And, you know, if I were better positioned financially, there would definitely be a check cut to her for what I feel the value of these magazines would be today, which I feel like, if I'm being fair, I owe her. I would comfortably alleviate my guilt by cutting her a $5,000 check.
Mhm.
I think she easily could have sold those magazines, all told, for about 5, maybe 10 if she's really, but easily 5. So, but I made these little cards, and they would have the name, and I would have the weight and the hometown and the little quote.
This is just so cute.
I was recreating what I saw in the magazines with my own little index cards. And the point of this is, my uncle used to tease me about it and would call them my paper dolls. I wasn't mashing them together like action figures or whatever. It was just his denigrating way to pick on the kid who was clearly already a little fegula. And, so paper dolls, the old paper dolls were, these paper dolls that you could, there were dolls that came in like coloring book style thing that you could take out a page and cut out the paper doll or the dress on the doll and put the dress over the model in the book. And it was for to Prisha's point about being able to afford Barbies, it was typically for less advantaged children. And also, not for nothing, I also feel like this was something that was more predominantly, again, my uncle's making fun of me for it in the 90s. So he's a little older. He's thinking of the 50s and the 60s when I feel like these paper doll books, when did Barbie started, like what, 54, something like that, 52?
Right.
So, we're still playing with paper dolls in the 50s, but by like the 80s, they're maybe not so much a thing anymore. Not for nothing, I think by the 80s, we moved on to remember the vinyl sticker books where you could
Ooh, no, I had those.
We upgraded the paper dolls. Anyway.
There's nothing wrong with paper dolls, by the way.
Obviously, of course. Obviously, in this show, paper dolls is referring to models. And this show centered around the lives of 2 teenage models, Taryn and Lori, and their strong-willed mothers.
Let me guess, they were gorgeous, and it's another show that appeals toward men.
Yes. Well, no, this was definitely for women. This was a soap opera.
Interesting.
Lloyd Bridges, Brenda Vaccaro, and Morgan Fairchild rule the world of high fashion. The multi-million-dollar playground of paper dolls with you this fall on ABC.
Set in New York's fashion industry, the show centered on top modeling agency owner Racine, who is played by Morgan Fairchild. Her conflicts with the family of cosmetics tycoon Grant Harper, who is played by Lloyd Bridges, and the careers of 2 teenage models played by, okay, this is actually fun. Prisha, I'm going to drop a name on you that you absolutely should know, and a name that you should maybe only know in name only. Oh, actually, no. I bet you probably did watch this show and could name. Okay, first, Terry Farrell.
Terry Farrell.
Terry Farrell. John David, do you know Terry Farrell? No.
No. Star Trek. She was on oh my god.
Oh, this is fun.
She was on Deep Space Nine.
Yes, she was on Deep Space Nine, and she is.
Oh my god. What was her character? The why is my brain not working? I don't know.
I was also going to say in the interest of time.
Yes, go ahead, God. Not 7 and 9, but thank you.
So obviously very pretty, and obviously 10 years before Star Trek. I hate to be an ageist, but even prettier. And I say ageist because I said obviously, which I shouldn't have said, because many people actually age nicely. I think Terry has actually aged quite well. Anyway, she's supposed to be very young here. I don't know how actually old she was. I do think she was actually kind of old. I do believe she was actually fairly young in playing Jadzia Dax as well. So she might have actually been legitimately like 19 here. So in the tradition of television, she's over 18 playing a teenager.
Of course.
And the other star of this series is Nicolette Sheridan.
Desperate Housewives.
Yes. Nicolette Sheridan, of course, is the amorous. She's the most sexually active woman on the show. They're all sexually active.
I'm like, I don't remember her character's name, but I
They're
do
all
know.
sexually active, but she's the very, very blonde, kind of older looking blonde, who is,
Okay, hold on, let me Google her.
I think she's very amorous in the show. That's my way of saying slutty. But anyway, they are two teenage girls in this show. We also have here, we have the CBS Tuesday night movies at 9 o'clock, which may or may not have watched, depending again on the movie.
911 adds up to love at 11.
Tonight on the CBS Tuesday Night Movies, a story for those who care about life.
You're really beautiful, you know that?
I like you, but not in that way, okay?
Don't your parents keep telling you that these are the best years of your life?
What do you mean it gets worse?
If you were gonna do it, would you tell anybody?
He always looks so normal. That's because he was crazy. You've got to be to kill yourself.
What note?
From Skip.
It was an accident! Don't protect me from this. I want to know the truth.
I think the family's falling apart.
How could things go so far in a family so close? Silence of the Heart. Sponsored by DuPont. Better things for better living.
We also have a series called Riptide, which is, one moment, I'm trying to find Riptide so I can give you an actual Riptide. Riptide, as you can see or not see here, because it is kind of hard to see, Paper Dolls is a brand new show premiering this season at 9 o'clock. CBS Tuesday Night Movies obviously has been going for a while. Riptide is in its, I don't know. Actually, I think I may have miscolored this. No, I didn't, because it premiered in the middle of last year. It technically premiered January 3rd, 1984. So it premiered in the middle of the previous season. And it is obviously a boys show. I think this is a boat. Not for nothing yet.
That would make sense. Riptide boat. Okay.
Cody and Nick are two former Vietnam Army buddies who decided to open the Pier 56 Detective Agency, later known as the Riptide Detective Agency, in Los Angeles, California. I mean, literally, we're just in this process of change the vehicle, change the location. You know, it's a detective agency. Like, it is so exhausting. They may or may not be Vietnam veterans or the widows of Vietnam veterans. It is so formulaic. I can guarantee you one thing. This is also another Stephen J. Cannell production. The 80s were fun. Anyway, and also rounding out the 9 o'clock hour, we have Frontline.
Major funding for Frontline is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Additional funding is provided by this station and other public television stations nationwide.
The men who would be president and the reporters who cover them.
Those who do not have the name recognition have had a little difficulty attracting the powerful media and its attention.
For more than a year, they've been locked in a campaign for the attention of readers and viewers. But as voters finally begin to participate, much of it may already be over.
The day after the New Hampshire primary, I fully expect at least 3 candidates to withdraw.
Tonight on Frontline, the campaign for Page One.
From the network of public television stations, a presentation of KCTS Seattle, WNET New York, WPBT Miami, WTVS Detroit, and WGBH Boston. This is Frontline.
I'm Judy Woodruff in New Hampshire, where the headlines are saying Walter Mondale will win big tomorrow. Gary Hart could come in second again, and John Glenn may be in trouble. What's behind those stories, and who writes them?
Damn, Frontline's kind of like 60 Minutes for me. It kind of depends on, and listen, also on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock, I'm not interested particularly in Paper Dolls or Riptide, and depending on the movie, I may or may not. I might be watching Frontline.
I was trying, again, I'm like, okay, if I'm 30 years old, what am I watching? I'm watching Frontline, or I'm getting the kids ready for bed, because I'm not interested in any of these things at all.
And again, I think the rule of like, I'm likely going to watch Paper Dolls, the pilot, to see what it is.
Yeah,
I may or may not like it, but yeah. I want to round out and just finish Tuesday night before we go. And I think this is going to be pretty quick and easy because I would likely, I don't even know what Jesse is. I would likely give Jesse a chance.
Every crime starts in the mind, in the heart. I'm a police psychiatrist. My specialty, criminal behavior. Sometimes the difference between life and death isn't a gun or a knife, but compassion, understanding. Sometimes that's the only thing that can stop the trigger finger.
Lindsay Wagner. She's with you as Jessie this fall.
We're with you on ABC with you.
Let's just see what Jesse is real quick. I should have already had this ready to go, but you know, I can only prep so much. I made graphics. I made graphics. Jesse is a police drama series starring Lindsay Wagner as a psychiatrist.
She's a police psychiatrist.
You have a lot of experience dealing with armed and dangerous criminals, Doctor?
Yes, I have dealt with highly agitated, disturbed people.
With a loaded gun pointing at you?
Her specialty is criminal behavior.
I know just what you're thinking. You're trying to psychologize me.
To her, being a cop means more than just solving crimes.
People care about you, Mr. Rowe.
Who cares about me?
Your son, your wife.
Tonight at 9, 8 Central, Lindsay Wagner's with you when Jesse premieres.
Prisha, where, just looking at the schedule, and since I'm all flustered, where are you likely at? Do you know?
I'm most likely watching Remington Steele.
So you know Remington Steele?
Yeah, my mom. So like my mom used to watch it. I think she thought, who was the main guy? I think she might have thought he was hot.
Pierce Brosnan.
Was it Pierce? Okay, yeah. that would make sense. That's yeah. I feel like that's what women were watching.
And it was kind of in the realm of like murder. I mean, it's obviously like a crime drama series, but it was kind of in the realm of like Murder, She Wrote, right? Like they're a happy. No,
I don't know. I think so. They're like it's like I went like Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of thing. I don't remember watching it at all, but I do like I'm just remember like seeing the episode vaguely. Yeah. I think women are watching that because he's again hot.
Tuesday on the A-Team. Who's got the guts to grab Mr. T's gold and chain him to Murdoch?
Like taking downtown Tokyo away from Godzilla.
And on Riptide, Murray the Powerful, Murray the Ruthless, Murray the Media Star.
I think we created a monster.
And on Remington Steele, one of these masterful mystery writers has murder in mind for Laura and Steele. Tuesday.
And I think my takeaway from it is, has always been, when I think of this show, is Doris Roberts. Doris Roberts starred as his secretary and obviously would go on to star in Everybody Loves Raymond. So whenever I think of this show, I think of Doris Roberts. And yes, obviously Pierce Brosnan, but you know, I didn't. Pierce Brosnan is one of those generational dudes that like women liked that I don't get it. Like
I don't get it either, but
and then rounding out, actually likely I probably would have been here. I'm interested to know more about this show called The Constitution, That Delicate Balance.
I recommend that show. Can I send it to certain people? Because as a educator who's taught the Constitution years and years and years, there's a lot of people who don't know how government works or the Constitution. And I feel like maybe we need to bring that show back. Maybe we need more people to watch it.
Just before we go, I am curious if I can pull this up quickly. I can. It is a television series broadcast originally on the Learning Channel.
Oh.
So that's curious and interesting. It is listed as a Tuesday night show here in the TV Guide fall preview, produced by Columbia University as part of its Media and Society Seminars program. Can I be a part of that, please? The series was filmed in Congress Hall in Philadelphia as a series of seminars with a group of around 15 to 20 politicians, journalists, educators, and others, including the former President Gerald Ford and the former U.S. Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart, who also participated in related discussion with the series host Fred Friendly. And these discussions took place in Independence Hall. Oh my God, yes.
Right? Like this show needs to be airing today.
I am here.
Right now.
I am on PBS at 10 o'clock.
Right.
The kids are asleep. They're going to be bored out of their minds. Thank God they're asleep. It is only 13 episodes, apparently, which now just makes me want to watch it even more because I'm like, I can do 13 episodes. No, to your point, I absolutely think this is something that should be revisited. PBS, man, I mean, consistent stalwart of I hate how I punch wart every time I say that. A consistent stalwart of television and quality television. Prisha, I thank you so much for this, what has turned into part one.
I know. Sorry. We talk a lot. We should have known. We should have known that it was going to be long. I know.
And I also should have known too that this was going to be a lot to cover. I will likely I'm going to push you to do part two quickly, probably within the week, so that I can bang these out, because I love the idea of stretching them out into like even a weekly episode. But again, I want to bang these out because we're almost done with the, we're into October where we could start talking about the winter series premiering soon. I thank you again. I look forward to doing this again, and I will see you next time.
All right,
wait. Hold on. I also forget, just so we do this the proper way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Appreciate, I don't know, do you want anyone following you on social?
Please do not follow unless you have social media.
There you go. And I thank you. I love you. I miss you. And I will see you next time.
Hey, bye.
Bye.